style.
Yeah, hostile style.
Oh man. You gotta get something to drink. Can I get some red or white?
Fine, I have a basement in the bedroom.
Okay, so what do you think about the chicken lady in the bedroom?
Oh my gosh, Mom, we're live. We're live on Line Balls. Hi, everybody.
Okay, that's not top of my head off. Awesome.
That's funny. No, it's okay. Actually, I'm just joking. It's not a big deal, Mom.
It's just gonna be for my team more than anybody.
Yeah, I know.
I know it's dark, but it's like
It's like mood lighting.
it's mood lighting. That's the ambiance. It's ambiance. All about the ambiance. I just think really bright colors.
I'm totally offended by your home.
Well, this middle light is so bright. It drives me crazy. I know you need a dimmer, but it's a luxury that I just don't have in this house. Okay.
And so
Yeah, I just do a very
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would make it stay.
Liz and I were obviously raised by the same person because I feel like the extent of our like having to communicate about anything in advance is like 2 seconds. Which I think we're planning a baby shower right now for our cousin.
Tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
And I think
Yeah, seriously.
And if it would have just been just Elizabeth and I planning this, we would have been like, it would have been like today, we've been like, okay, it's 8 o'clock. What do you want to do about the shower? But there's been another person involved in the planning and it's been like stressing me out.
She's totally stressing me out.
She texts an old one, right? Is it? Okay.
Awful. She's like, we're getting like screenshots of Amazon stuff, and she's sending so much stuff to her mom's house, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're giving me anxiety.
They're like 10 boxes full of stuff.
I know. She's
For a
like,
baby shower.
I know.
she probably spent like $400 on a decor. I mean, I don't even know. I made a diaper cake, and she's like, "Oh, I ordered 2 pre-made." I'm like, "Who orders pre-made diaper cakes? You make a diaper."
$75 now.
This is like Midwest DIY right here. She's bringing in like East Coast.
East Coast money.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. We were like, it's $45 a piece. We thought we'd make our own. She's like, "Oh no, we're buying them." And we're like,
That's like $250.
And Dad's
so
like,
much money.
You make great quiche.
So much
You should
money.
have got the $45.
The quiche we had the other day was awesome. And I was thinking, how much would you do quiche for Christine bridal shower? 35?
At least. And those were legit quiches. I know.
That was a
Okay.
way big.
I know. And look at
That was you did a good job on that.
Okay, we digress because
We
Elizabeth
digress.
and I,
Sorry.
is it on? It's on.
Oh, we were talking?
Yeah. But it's just people who are like on our person.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's not like it's
By no means it's
anyone that you know. Maybe.
So we're not like streaming like live over CNN or something.
It's just me. Okay, so what we're going to do is this is kind of like obviously it's a format that we like to get together and like kind of unwind. It's Friday, which is the best night of the week. But it's very much like a platform where we kind of educate. So this isn't a party where you're not going to come home with anything because this is all mine. So we're not selling anything here. Obviously, we'll talk about products at the end. But kind of what we mostly discuss is the brand and what makes like Rodeo Fields different. What is RF? The business model, and so like why are we doing this? What it makes it a little bit different? How is it different than traditional retail skincare and stores? And then obviously we talk about like why we decided to join. So you're at my house. Obviously, I think everybody knows that. And everybody knows my name is Elise. I think everybody else knows that too. So I joined Rodeo Fields a year ago last month. And it was after a year and a half of Elizabeth and me, but like very much educating me over a year and a half. And I went to all of her events And when she joined, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be one of those girls, and it makes me cringe a little. But I will support you because that's what sisters do. Like no matter how crazy, you know, when you get bangs, you say they look great,
And they're really bad.
but you get okay bangs. They were okay. So I feel like you support your sister in any of those endeavors, and so I was there to support her. And I went to all of her events, and so I ended up learning actually about the company and a lot about the products because I kept going to her events. We had just built this house, so I didn't think buying the skincare or investing in the business was anything I could afford because I was buying trees, and that was really expensive. And so she gifted me my first regimen. So I have acne. Even though, like, I think I get over it and I stop using it, and then I'm told I'm wrong because I get sick. So that was this week. I was like, I've changed. I'm 29. I don't have acne, and I was like, no. Regimen, and I thought I didn't have bad skin, but one of my favorite stories to tell is Elizabeth said she handed me the box and she said, "You can't be the only one in the family with bad skin."
For the record, she said that to every presentation, and I never recall saying that.
But I think it's because it's true and it's funny. And then my mom likes to remind me about how I couldn't tell, but under my cheeks I had a lot of underground stuff. So I started using the regimen because Elizabeth had gifted it to me, and I had a terrible purge. And I remember sitting in my mom's, and I remember saying, "I'm allergic. There's a 3% return rate," and I was like, "I'm not 3%. I'm like this weird anomaly who can't handle it." And she was like, "It's pretty bad." I had broken out so badly. She goes, "You know what they say? 60 days. Give it the 60 days because maybe that's what you need." And I was like, "Okay." Like I was so bad. And sure enough, in 60 days, my skin was so clear and it was so amazing. And I did, I took my before shots and I gave them to her and I would track it. And I was like, "This is bad. This is really bad." But sure enough, I had like glowing, amazing skin afterwards. And I thought, okay, I'll keep using this stuff. And so last year at this time was a tough year. So I was pregnant. I got to my 20-week appointment to find out that we had lost a baby. So that was like devastating because you think like life's perfect. We got a house. We're going to have a baby. Ha, ha, ha. Nothing can go wrong. And then whack. Mom got breast cancer. That didn't help. But it did not help my hair.
Timing.
Let's work on that.
Yeah, and that was kind of like within weeks of each other. And so I was, as my mom says, lower than a snake's belly, which is really low. And I was like, oh my gosh. So finally, it was like, it had been months since we talked about it. Obviously, Elizabeth was like, "You really need Rodana pills right now." But it was April, and she said, "You know what? Your mother-in-law is buying from me. You have friends who are buying from me. People are joining the business, and you should be too. And it's going to be a good time." And I thought, what the hell else do I have to lose? Because I think when you have a moment in life that really shakes you and makes you realize like what's important, family, the people you have around you, it's not like the house. It's not. I mean, it helped. But and so I thought, why not? And obviously, I thought to myself, I remember I was laying on the couch and I was like, should I do it? And as much as Bobby and I thought you were kind of silly, within months, and she was really becoming successful, I was like, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And I was like, hey, weren't you the guy who was saying it was silly? And she's like, but she's doing well, so why not? And I'm like, so it helps, obviously, to have a husband support you and think that it's something that is legitimate. But then one day, I won't have acne, but one day, all of the sun I have soaked up on this face for 29 years. And it was a lot. Those country club days when I was young, they used to call me Brownberry. And so once once I go from blemish, I'll move to the reverse, and then everybody is getting a day older every single day. And so you want to treat fine lines and wrinkles. So we define. So I was very much thinking, okay, this is a product that I know works, and I see all of my friends and family be so successful with the product that I will always use it. So if I'm always going to use it, well, then maybe I could at least get it paid for, right? Maybe I could, have a customer or two, and then they could pay for it. And then I was very much thinking, well, okay, I'm pretty low, snake belly low, and I am really in need of a community and a support group because, when you're going through tough stuff, I've seen, like, our philanthropic sorority would bring my mom dinner 3 times a week while she was in chemo. You need a lot of friends who are gonna do 3 meals a week because it's not gonna be that same 3 friends, right? And so I was thinking, okay, I need like a community. I need to build a community because I was very much becoming like a shut in the house because I was depressed, obviously. But I think the most kind of important, what I very much see is like I needed a purpose. And so I very much thought I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to have a purpose in life, which I think will take all your time, but shouldn't be your purpose in life. There should be something that is filling your cup, not continuously draining it. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe this could be like a platform. I worked really hard to share my story about losing the baby, but it's hard. It doesn't, it's a lot easier than it was. It was a lot touch and go there. But it's getting a lot easier. But it's one of these things where it's like, if I can share this story, which I have in this platform, it's amazing the people that say, let me tell you my story. And they have extreme, amazing connections that I've made because of running the fields. So obviously, when I was pregnant, I had the ability to have a preview of what freaking is going to stress you out when you're about to have a kid. Like, your life's going to change forever. What else is going to change? You have to support another human in your finances, which right now I'm like comfortable with 2. And so that was really scary. And we would tour daycares, and that I would call my husband crying in like a parking lot getting lunch, and I'd be like, we can't send the baby to daycare. He'd be like, get a grip, eat something, you'll be okay. But I was raised by a stay-at-home mom, and so that's what I know, and that's what I think. I thought so many times when I was sitting at my desk pregnant, like, this is not where I want to be if I know my child is somewhere at home. Not that I don't love my family business, but it can only fill you up so much. And the coworkers, as great as they are, 65-year-old men are not great for my social life or just anything with, I can't relate to them whatsoever. Yeah. So I was starting to think, like, what if RF could be the solution to one of these problems? I needed time. I needed time to not be sitting on my computer, and I needed the time to be able to be home with my child. What if this could be the financial security where maybe all of it doesn't have to rest on my husband's shoulders? Because that's a lot of pressure. Like, you're on your own, good luck, take care of us all. Is a little scary. It's a little daunting because we've never had to do it. So then I thought, well, what if this could bring me a community? Because Elizabeth talked about how she's been in sales and real estate. She goes, I've never had a community that's so supportive. Like, usually it's like you get a sale, you're ripping that sale out of my hands, and it's not that, it's we're building each other up. So I was thinking, okay, well, what if I could make the money? What if I could find the time, because it would create financial freedom, and then it would then in turn create time freedom. And then the kind of the what ifs kind of thought, like, well, I see her earning this income, and I thought, well, what if, I've never felt like, I needed anything above and beyond. I feel like I live a minimal life, but at the same time, it's not like the worst thing in the world to dream a little and think, okay, well, what if I could go on those trips, and what if I could earn the income that our cousin who got us into this business, that she's making as a stay-at-home mom, which is more than teachers. She makes more than a teacher makes in a year and a month. So I thought, you don't want to be greedy, but at the same time you think, well, what if? And so I think it was one of those things where I thought, I got nothing to lose. My current job, which is a very traditional job, isn't solving any of those what ifs. I know as much as I love my dad, he's not going to, increase my salary 100% every year. It just isn't sustainable. As great as I am, and that's not sustainable in most traditional jobs. And in this job, it is a possibility where you can continue to grow and grow and grow your income. And so it was very much one of those things that I didn't see my current situation in a traditional position, kind of getting me any of those what ifs. I knew I would have to be at work, and I knew I would be making a similar, whatever percentage income more, but I wouldn't be, he's not sending me anywhere. And, he's not, filling up this cup. So I thought, let's do it. I'd love to spend time with my sister. And the last year's been this kind of history. And it's like I haven't looked back. And I have no doubt in this company and this brand and where it's going and where it's going to take me. And so that's kind of why we like to share it. It's kind of easy that way. It's something I totally believe in. It's a business model I believe in. They're products that I believe in. And so we're just here to share. That's kind of what we're doing.
Yes.
That's Liz.
Like you. Thank you. Let me just get up here for a second. I would sit, but I actually do better, I think, when I stand. I don't know why. I think that's a American one of the things that I inherited. You just gotta be able to move around a little bit. So like Lee said, I've been actually part of Rotating Fields for 2.5 years now. It's kind of crazy to think about because it doesn't feel like I've been doing it for that long. And if you were to rewind back like 3.5 years, Lisa and I were like making fun of our cousin, like, what is homegirl doing? She is a joke. That is nothing we would ever do. Heck to the no. And so it wasn't ever anything that I would see myself doing. I thought I was too educated. I thought I had too good of a business. I thought I was, definitely not interested in anything in this type of model. And so for me to be sitting here right now telling you that this is something I believe in, something that I think is for everybody, really truly just for the willing, who are willing to take a step outside their comfort zone and explore something different. It's kind of laughable at this point because it's like, how did I get from such an extreme no to such an extreme belief of yes? And it's just kind of funny because that's what this company does. And so we're running back to 2010. My husband and I moved back to the Spirit Lake area. We had no children, and I really just decided I needed to start a business for myself in real estate because I wasn't about to jump back into the hospitality industry that I had been in for the previous 4 or 5 years because I wanted to have kids and I wanted to have life and I wanted to be present for them. Well, little did I know that real estate isn't actually something that gives you that time freedom or that flexibility. For those of you who have bought a house or built a house, you know how unbelievably stressful it is and how time consuming it is. And it encompasses you. And so imagine that times 10 or 15 clients for me at one time where they're like all encompassed with their house, shifting process. And I am the one leading them, walking them through that. You can only imagine how busy of a life you have. And so, albeit I had built then over this, the next 4 or 5 year period as a very substantial business where I was making my 6-figure salary, it was also at a cost of my time freedom, and I didn't really have my own schedule, right? I thought I was my own boss, but in all reality, I actually worked for 10 to 15 people at any one time. And so I had 10 to 15 bosses at any one time. And if I wasn't going to show up the next day or show houses, then somebody else was there to help me out to do that, right? And so I also determined that this type of field that I was in was also something where a lot of people are very unethical. Who would have thought, right? Because money makes people do crazy things. And I was not really raised to be that type of person. And so, albeit I thought I had really hit the jackpot and figured out a streamline of income for myself and for my family that would be there and solid until I was 50, 55, 60, whatever I decided to retire, I realized that maybe, just maybe, this wouldn't be something I would want to do long term. And it was starting to exhaust me and stress me out, and the weight was beginning to be a lot. And so I was watching my cousin, and finally she reached out to me and said, I really think you should explore this. And I was like, again, like I had said earlier, I was like, I don't know that not my cup of tea. I don't want to be that girl. I mean, I couldn't really use a salesperson pitch because I was already in sales, but at the same time, I was like, I really don't want to approach my friends and try to get them to buy this stuff. But also I was like, I'm an educated person. Like I have a 4-year degree, like I I just had all the standard excuses, right? And so I actually didn't want to spend the money on the skincare, and I was already using the Proactive product. And so I had kind of given her every excuse in the book. But of course, what then caught my mind or caught my eye was when she told me what she was actually making a month. And at that time, she was making anywhere between $5,000 to $7,000 a month. And I about fell off my chair because when you start to look at a $7,000 model per month times 12, you're looking at pretty close to 6 figures a year. And I'm like, oh no, you're at home with 3 boys under the age of 4 and you're bringing in that kind of money? And so I was shocked. And so I realized, okay, maybe there is a different way, right? And maybe there is something that I should look at that is a little different, because you don't really hear about anybody selling purses or Tupperware that are really making that kind of money, that are realistically building a solid business. And so I did. I looked into it, and then I began thinking about it, because I, like Elise said, and like Elise, had had acne my entire life. And I'd been on Proactive for literally 10 years up until that point. And so I had also, like Elise said, tried getting off the product multiple times, just Proactive. And I couldn't, because my face would go nuts. And so therefore they had me locked down and sold that this was going to be the only product that could work for me. And of course, I at that time had 1 baby, and I was ready to switch it up. I needed something different, and these are these same exact doctors, of course, that created Proactive. And so if you look at the model and what they've already done once, it's actually quite impressive. And I'm not sure that anybody really even knows the statistics behind Proactive, but they actually took this business, right, this original company they had that we all know today, to even companies like Neutrogena, and they shut them down. They said there's no way that you'll ever be successful. And so these 2 ladies, Stanford-trained dermatologists that are still in clinic today, they still see people like you and me every day in the Bay Area, legitimately rolled this infomercial model out with skincare with a multi-med therapy approach. And they now own, still today, 30 years later, 80% of the global acne market. So if you think about it, for anybody to own 80% of any market, it's pretty impressive, right? Like that's big business. And so these ladies are already multi-billionaires. And what they did is they figured out, okay, we've done this once for people's acne, and now all of our clientele that we helped in the 90s are all getting old, right? This is 30 years later, and they're all wanting good skincare to help them anti-age. And so they said, you know what, this is what we're seeing in our clinics. This is what we're seeing with clientele. This is what people want. And people want to be able to get good quality dermatological grade skincare over the counter without having to see us and wait that 2-year waiting list to see us. And so that's what they did. They created this line that they actually brought and rolled out in stores in 2006, right? So they took this to the standard model that we all know, right? We are used to going to, well, here it'd be like Yonkers, but like Macy's, right? Or like Macy's, or your Nordstrom's. And we were actually the #1 clinically sold line in Nordstrom's in 2006 because we were getting huge and our stuff was working. And what these ladies figured out is that places like Yonkers were going to be RIP sooner than later, because everything was moving online. The e-commerce platform was rolling out, right? And so you see market disruptive companies like Airbnb, right, where they don't have any hotels, but they are the biggest hotel retailer technically in the world is Airbnb. Same thing with Uber. They actually don't even own any cars if you think about it, but they are the biggest taxi company service out there. And so these are the companies that are thinking a little differently, and they're changing it up. And so that's exactly what Rodin & Fields has done, is they're completely changing up their model. They're taking us away from the glass counter, and they're giving people like you and me the opportunity to leverage their brand, show people what this product is, literally help them set up an Amazon Prime account for lack of a better example. And literally that's how they order their skincare. And then I, as their consultant, or, Elise, basically reap the benefits of them using their skincare over and over again, because this stuff works and it's guaranteed to work. So that's essentially this business model that is continually building what I consider now the best concept ever, which is residual income. And I think I heard this once, and I'll say it again. If you actually know what residual income is, I've heard you will legitimately run through a brick wall to get it. And now that I get what it is the most amazing concept that there possibly could be. Because now I wake up and I've literally made money while I sleep. I mean, people are ordering skincare left and right from my customers that I signed 2.5 years ago that are continuing to use the product, like Maggie, who is now also joined us in business. But Maggie, started ordering product from me, and I told Lisa, I was like, I'm making this much money off your mother-in-law buying skincare. You're crazy not to do this. And so it's a snowball effect. I mean, literally people tell people that tell people. And at this point in time, my organization is 200 people strong. And I am making around that $5,000 to $7,000 mark every month, which is unbelievable for me because now I can step back from that real estate concept and say, I don't need this anymore. I have options to choose. I can be with my family. I can decide not to do daycare if I don't want to. And I can come to Ames on a Friday afternoon at noon if I want to, and I don't have to think twice about it. And that's an amazing concept of flexibility and time freedom that I really did not have before. I don't care if I lose that listing on the street because I'm crazy. Right? Before it would break me down. And so it's a wonderful place to be, to have that literally that paycheck, which today was payday, that just populates in my email account. That literally shows me you just made another $6,000. I'm just like, this is unbelievable to me. That I can actually build this strong of a business and watch the way that it's duplicating and growing at an exponential rate. I mean, just jaw dropping. And so I joined my cousin 2.5 years ago, right about where I am in business right now. And like Lee said, Homegirl's pulling in $45,000 a month, which is jaw dropping, but it's truly just by sharing and sharing and sharing this amazing concept of where this business is headed. And so we happen to have landed on the fastest growing team in the company. And what we do is just a little bit different, and how we teach this is just a little bit different. So what we feel we have is very, very special. And that's part of the reason why we're so passionate about it, is because our team culture, our setup, our training models, and our leaders are hands down the best in the company. And so what's exciting is that we are so ground floor. We are only in 3 countries. We just rolled out Australia this last year. We were in Canada last year, the year before, excuse me. And then as of right now, we're in the US. We're the #1 brand in the United States. Excuse me, we're the #1 anti-aging line in the United States, and we still have a money back guarantee. So what's cool about it is I don't feel like I'm pressuring anybody ever. I'm literally showing them these products because hands down they're the best that you can get your hands on. Our only competition is literally the dermatologist office, and even then, I cannot even tell you how many dermatologists are part of this company because they know that this stuff's so good. And so it's kind of neat to know that if someone does not like their product, they can get their money back, and I don't feel like I'm pressuring them into anything. I'm literally just sharing with them this concept of what this multi-med therapy does for your skin and how it works. So where are we headed? At this point in time, these doctors are at the forefront of innovation. Their head of research and development and labs is an Oxford grad, Tim Fiala, who is a genius. And it's so fun to see innovations like Lash Boost that many of you maybe have heard about. We did over $200 million in Lash Boost sales last year. That's more than the best-selling mascara on the market. And we just rolled it out, which is pretty cool. So other things like these doctors have created a molecule for a hydrating concept for our newest hydrating or active hydration serum. This stuff is like, my mom will tell you, you like want to bathe in it. she broke a glass one time and she was like putting it all over her body. She's like, oh yeah, it's so good.
It is glass on the inside.
So yeah. So she's like, so Mama's really bummed because this stuff is like butter. It's amazing. But just they're at the forefront of innovation, and they will always be at the forefront of innovation. What I love about these doctors is they are the best in their class. They're world renowned. Everybody knows who they are. And if you don't think that they aren't going to be mirroring that same pattern with Proactive with this company, they absolutely are. So Proactive's in over 120 countries right now. Rodan & Fields is in 3. That's just how ground floor we are. So one little tidbit also that I want to bring up is that Rodan & Fields just announced just this last week that we actually partnered with a company called TPG, which stands for Texas Pacific Group. Thank you. And they are basically the investors that expanded Uber and Airbnb and a lot of other major online global companies that have gone big. And so they are now minor investors in our company that have just taken 2 seats on our board. And to have that type of attention from that big of a company for a concept like ours is unheard of. And so it just goes to show you that when a company like that partners with us, we are very ground floor because they would have interest in us if we were done. And what's cool about that is we know that we actually only have 5% of the skincare market in the United States right now. And if you ask anybody about Earn and Fields, 1 in 3 people could even tell you what they know what it is. So it's very, very exciting to know where we're headed with this and how ground floor we are. So when I tell you we are going big places and this is exciting, I mean like we're going big places and this is exciting. So I love this business. I love doing business with my sister because it's truly like cocktails and hanging out. It's the best. And then, you know, the doctors and this company treats us with like trips and like fun, amazing excursions and that type of stuff. And I know that sounds like a carrot that's dangling in front of you, but at the end of the day, nobody was buying me a vacation in Remax. Nobody was giving me a purse at Remax for sure. And the best thing I was probably going to get was like some cheap dinner at like Christmas. So it's like, who doesn't want an incentive, right? And so I know our compensation plan is second to none. I know where this company is headed is exactly where Proactive has gone before. And so this is a long-term legacy company that we are building. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I just love to share about. So that's why Lisa and I are so passionate about it. Not only is this a once-in-a-lifetime company that literally Harvard Review has coined as once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but we are also, you know, being bragged about in different accolades like Forbes, Fox Business, all that good stuff. So the ratings and the reviews go on and on and on just to show support behind this company. But at the end of the day, everything works because of these 4 main lines, these 4 main regimens, and these products. So I'm going to let Lee just briefly go over them. And then if you guys have any questions about the products or anything like that, you can certainly let us know.
So it's not an overwhelming amount of stuff. So I've never been like a stuff person, as much as I think Elizabeth maybe has. I think of you as a stuff person.
Okay. I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know. I'll tell you later. But the thing that makes it really not overwhelming is there's 4 regimens and a handful of ancillary products. This ship go round. Well, I don't know if ships go round, but and it's kind of amazing. So they created the 4 main regimens because these were the 4 main concerns that they were seeing in practice. So they're still in practice, and what do they see? They see sensitive skin, acne, sun damage, dark marks, dullness, and a need for anti-aging, fine lines, wrinkles. So every regimen is 4 steps. And so why 4 steps? You got to clean your face from whatever you've been doing. I don't know, you're a coal miner or whatever you do. I work in an office. So you got to clean your face. Soothe is a little bit different, but then you got to tone your face. So what this does is it balances the pH and it prepares you for the active ingredients. So people are like, oh, you know, I'll buy one of the steps. Okay, so you're going to sand your face, but you're not going to prime it or paint it. And that's kind of, it's wood, is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to tell you is that
That's the analogy was there.
each ingredient and each step is separate for a reason. So it's the right ingredient and the right amount in the right order. Because they're all, a lot of these things don't play nice together. You can't just mix all these things together and expect to not have acne. They all have their own specific purpose. So soothe is for sensitive skin. So sensitive skin is you have a broken down lipid barrier. And so anything in the environment is going to irritate your skin. And so that's